welcome back to my channel, Watching Reviews. I'm Gareth and welcome back to another Horror Friday. So just like the previous 2 weeks, we are on to the 2000s top 10 horror movies, or the noughties as it's known. This was a very difficult list for me, to be honest. I did write down a good 13 movies that I could have potentially put in my top 10. So I did narrow it down to the 10. A few of them were guarantees that were going to be in my top 10. A few that did miss out is the remake of The Ring, which I just rewatched lately. Brilliant remake, probably better than the original. Final Destination, which is another cracking movie. It is very unique story to it as well. And the underrated Session 9 as well, a little ghost type thing in an asylum being renovated, let's say. It is. So, yeah, them three didn't quite hit. Could have been a few more movies that could have made it into my top 10. And on another day, they could make the top part of my list to be on the 10s and that. It is. But I did narrow it down to 10. And we will start off with number 10, which is a very underrated movie that you don't hear a lot of in around the horror community. And that is Frailty. So this is a 2001 movie. It was directed by Bill Paxton. I think one of the only few things he ever did direct, or it might have been the only thing he directed. Unfortunately, he's passed away, but I would have loved to see more things directed by him. Written by Brent Hanley, so it did star Bill Paxton as well as the father. It is Matthew McConaughey's in this as well, who plays an older son who's telling a sheriff the story about his father and how he had visions from God or something like that. It is, visions to tell him to kill people who were possessed by demons, who were actually demons and that. So very tense little story, but they're beautiful twist at the end of the movie as well. It is. Didn't really see it coming when you think. Be honest, these days you probably would see stuff like that coming, but back then, didn't see that coming at all. Bill Paxton's amazing in this movie. Matthew McConaughey's brilliant. There's a couple of youngsters as well. Matt O'Leary, who plays young Fenton, who is Matthew McConaughey's younger thing. Jeremy Sumpter plays the young Adam, so the younger Matthew McConaughey. Them two are brilliant in their parts as well. Powers Booth is the FBI agent seeing over this thing as well. So you've seen him in loads of stuff. He was brilliant in this. So, yeah, everything brilliant in this and that. And, yeah, very a shame we didn't see more directed stuff from Bill Paxton. But definitely had to be just hit the top 10. I haven't seen it for a long time. If I watched it again recently, it might go up further on my list. But yeah, that is at number 10. So we go in at number 9 now. And we have a Spanish one, if I'm not mistaken. Found footage movie, which is Wreck. So this is about a camera crew, news crew who are tailing a fire station for the night, or interviewing them. So they get to a call at an apartment building. Stuff has happened, people are getting killed, bitten and that, and you find out it's a zombie virus that have penetrated the building, so they're trapped in there and that, and it's pretty much about survival and that. It is very, very tense movie this is as well, one of the best found footage ones out there. It was a remake, American remake, Quarantine. Done a brilliant job as well. I think that's a brilliant remake as well. But the Spanish one, this one, The Wreck, is the one to go to if you say. I know they've got sequels as well to this. I haven't watched the sequels, so I've got to get on to that. I have to watch them. But this movie is a brilliant found footage and a nice little different take on the zombie genre. It is. So that comes in at my number 9. So we're going into number 8 now. And it is one a lot of people love and that. And I was umming and ahhing to put it in my top 10 because it was others. But I think I do enjoy this movie quite a lot. And I do rewatch it quite a lot. And I've said in my top 10s, rewatchability on movies is what gets them into the top 10 as well as other other aspects. So that is James Wan's Saw. So this did come out in 2004. It was directed by him, but also written by him and Lee Winnell, two Aussies who worked together in quite a few projects. It is stars a good few stars in this movie as well. Cary Elwes as Dr. Lawrence Gordon, who we do see in a later Saw movie as well. Lee Winnell does star in this as well as Adam. He's a photographer or a private eye type of photographer and all that, who's trapped with Cary Elwes in this dirty toilet. It is, with a dead body between them. Danny Glover is Detective David Tapp, who's after the Jigsaw killer, who is responsible for capturing people who have done wrong, but putting them in a situation where it might maim them or hurt them, but makes them become better people. It is, but not always working out that way. And Ken Lung Lu, I think his pronounced, is Detective Stephen Sting, who is Danny Glover's partner, and Dina Meyer as Carrie is another officer in this, who's in the first three or four movies, if I'm not mistaken, for this. And she is at the Love of Horror this year as well, so looking forward to meeting her. So, yeah, like I said, mainly the story is them coppers investigating, trying to find the Jigsaw killer. It is, and I forgot to mention him as well. There is a load of others. Shawnee Smith, it is, and Tobin Bell is Jigsaw in this movie. So trying to find him and find the next victims that he has. It is, and the choices that these victims have to make to try and get out of these situations. A very dirty, grungy looking movie. Very well directed. I love James Wan's direction style. Brilliant in all his movies. It is. I'll have a couple of his movies into my 2010's top 10 as well. But the acting's brilliant in this, and a very great, brilliant twist ending to the movie as well. So I think it's definitely deserving to be in the top 10 of the two Naughties top 10. It is. So that is at number 8. And we come in at number 7. And that is American Psycho. So another 2000 movie. It came out in 2000. Directed by Mary Harron. It is. So does star the great Christian Bale. Justin Theroux is in this as well. Reese Witherspoon. Jared Leto. Willem Dafoe is in this as well. Pretty much about a guy who's on Wall Street or wealthy New York City investment banker. Patrick Bateman hides his alternate psychopathic ego from his co-workers and friends as he delves deeper into the his violent fantasies. So this movie is brilliant, violent, brilliantly acted, brilliantly directed. Music's brilliant in this because it takes place in the 80s. I do have the book around you. I haven't read the book, but the book is supposed to be amazing as well for this. I do like the aspect of, is all this in his mind? It is, because when it comes to the ending, you don't know whether it's all playing in his mind and it's mental health issue with him or not. But everything brilliant in this. I'm not too sure if Christian Bale got an Oscar nomination for this. He might have. But yeah, he was brilliant in this. If he didn't get an Oscar nomination, I'm bloody criminal, to be honest, if it is. But a brilliant movie. It is. Love the atmosphere and that in this movie, and the ending's brilliant as well. But yeah, definitely deserving of being number 7. So we get into number 6 now. First Stephen King one, if I'm not mistaken, or one other thing for my top 10. And that is 2007's The Mist. So this is directed by Frank Darabont. It's written by him and also has Stephen King because it comes from one of his novels as stories. It does star Thomas Jane. We have Marisha Gay Harden, Lauren Holden, Andre Brower. If I butchered his last name for you. Actor, he was in 9-9. He was the chief captain in 9-9. Unfortunately, he passed away now. It is Toby Jones, William Sadler, Jeffrey DeMunn. It is a lot of stars that you would recognise the names: Alexa Davalos, Sam Witwer, Chris Owen, who was the Shermanator in American Pie. A lot of very famous names in this movie, and some you will notice went on to star in when Frank Darabont started doing The Walking Dead. So a lot of these went over to that. So pretty much people are trapped in a supermarket when a mysterious fog appears over this small town and creatures start appearing in the thing. So it's pretty much a survival thing. But then we get like a religious part of the story then in the supermarket, where you have Marissa Gay Harden, who is Mrs. Carmody, who starts citing off the Bible and stuff that happens in the Bible, and she wants sacrifice, but every time everyone's dying, more people are going over to her side of thinking. So we do have then Thomas Jane and a small band of people do escape, and we get one of the most saddest and harrowing endings to a movie that I've ever seen, to be honest, and it still shocks me to this day when I rewatch it. But I definitely won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but I definitely recommend you watch this movie without being spoiled. But yeah, definitely up there is one of the best Stephen King adaptations to date, to be honest. Frank Darabont does brilliant work, and I also did Shawshank Redemption from Stephen King, which is arguably one of my best favourite films as well, up there. It is. But yeah, definitely worthy of being in the top 10 again. So that is at number 6. So we get into the top 5 now, and then coming in at number 5 is a very fun Halloween anthology movie, Trick or Treat. So this did come out in 2007, directed by Michael Dougherty and written by him as well. A slew of good actors in this movie: Anna Paquin, who you know from Rogue from the X-Men movies, Brian Cox, who's been in a ton of stuff, Dylan Baker, Quinn Lord plays the small Sam, the little demon kid from the movie as well. It is, and pretty much centers around a little town that different stories happen, with Sam being front and center of the movie, but there's like little stories throughout the movie that kind of all intertwine and get connected at one stage or another. It is, but very fun Halloween movie. The Arrow release of this movie is coming out this month, if I'm not mistaken, by the end of the year, so the end of the month. So looking forward to that coming out. A yearly watch around this time of the year as well. Very fun, a bright movie as well, very colourful in parts and that, but definitely worthy of one of the better Halloween themed movies out there, and definitely had to be in my top 5 movies of the 2000s. It is absolutely brilliant. So that is my number 5. We come in at number 4, and my top 4 now, I've just realised, are all kind of British movies. It is, so that probably goes towards being a Brit myself, obviously a Welshman and all that. I love all these top 5 movies per year. Could intertwine a bit, to be honest. Any one of them could have been my top 4 in either order, to be honest. But we coming in at number 4, and that is 28 Days Later. So it's the 2002 movie. Yes, there was a 28 Weeks Later, and I think we got a 28 Years movie coming out soon as well, which I can't wait. It is directed by Danny Boyle and writer Alex Garland, who did direct and wrote my favourite movie of this year so far, Civil War. So, movie does star recently Oscar winner Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris, who played M in the newer James Bond movies, Christopher Eccleston's in this as well, and Brendan Gleeson, that's it, plays a father in this movie as well. So pretty much takes place 4 years after a mysterious incurable virus spreads around the United Kingdom, as a handful of survivors try to find some sanctuary. So this ain't exactly a zombie movie. It's a rage virus. So you get infected, you just become crazy and start killing people and that. But I love how tense this movie gets. Very atmospheric, and the people running for you, and it doesn't look like they slowed down. And yeah, I love zombie movies. You could class this as zombies if you want and all that, but there's something about them raging, running after you, really gets you on the edge of your seat. 28 Weeks Later is a good sequel to this, but this is the best one out of the two. Brilliantly directed, brilliantly acted. Love the music for this movie as well, and the story's unique and a bit different to what we've seen. Like you said, I said zombie movies, but it is a bit different compared to the older ones and that. So yeah, definitely up in my top 5, and a brilliant, brilliant movie. So we go into my top 3 now, and number 3 is Dog Soldiers. So this is a 2002 movie. I did see this in the cinema when it first came out, and it's stuck with me ever since. Brilliant take on the werewolf movies. Directed and written by Neil Marshall. It does star Sean Pertwee, Kevin McKidd, Emma Cleesby, and Liam Cunningham, as well as a few other actors who are all absolutely brilliant in this movie. This movie is a very fun, funny, bloody horror. I love every aspect of this movie. I do. So it's pretty much about a handful of army people doing a training exercise in Scotland, which I think it actually takes place in Norway. It's filmed in Norway, but it's supposed to be Scotland and that, where they are attacked by a family of werewolves. So you find out then later on that Fingerbob's character, Liam Cunningham's character, Ryan, is got his own group, and he set all this up as Wells and Cooper's group as bait to try and get these and try and capture the werewolves. But the werewolves are a lot smarter than you think. So they get holed up in the house, and you find out this house belongs to the werewolves. So it is the family that live there thing. So they're trapped in the thing, and they got to try to make it till daytime so they can escape. But we get some hilarious scenes in this movie. It is some brilliant one-liners as well. And yeah, brilliant action. Does remind you a bit like Aliens and Predator and certain movies like that. It does. Pays homage to them type of movies. But definitely up as one of my favourite werewolf movies ever made. So we're top 2 now. And the second one is the comedy horror Shaun of the Dead. So this came out in 2004. And it is directed by Edgar Wright. It's also written by him and Simon Pegg, who stars in this movie with his great mate Nick Frost. They play Sean and Ed. Kate Ashfield Liz is Sean's ex-girlfriend at the time. It is Dylan Moran as well, one of her friends. It is. We also get Bill Nighy as well is in this movie, as well as a slew of other British actors like Matt Lucas, Martin Freeman are in cameos in this movie as well. But yeah, this is such a fun comedy horror that takes a mick out of the zombie apocalypse. It is, and it's all about Sean and Ed trying to survive this, but they have a plan of getting Liz and her friends and going to a Winchester, which is a pub, and hauling up in there. But things don't go according to plan, and we get some very funny and horror-like shenanigans throughout the movie. It is very well directed, brilliant movie. Love Edgar Wright movies. His Connector trilogy, this, Hot Fuzz, and At World's Ends are brilliant. Baby Driver and Last Night in Soho, as well, is one of his latest ones. All brilliant movies by him as well. And this one is definitely up there as one of the better ones as well. So yeah, not many comedy horrors I have on my lists, but that one is a definite must and comes in at number 2. So we come into my number 1 now. And I've said it a few times on this channel in the past and all that, how much I love this movie. And it is another Neil Marshall movie. And that is 2005's The Descent. So it is written by Neil Marshall as well. Does star Shauna MacDonald, Natalie Mendoza, Alex Reed, Saskia Mulder, Mariana Burry, Nora Jane Noon as spelunkers who go into that cave dives, or they're adrenaline junkies as well. after a very tragic beginning of the movie for Sarah, they try and cheer her up a lot of time later and take her to this little a cave that hasn't been discovered yet. But Juno, who discovered this and all that, didn't tell them. They think it's an actual one people uh, have explored before. But as they're exploring it, they get trapped in the cave, and you find out there's some dwelling beasts in the cave as well that are hunting them down and taking them out. A very claustrophobic movie this is. I'm not claustrophobic, but this even gets me going a little bit from watching it. Brilliant creature designs with these as well. Blind thing go by sound and that. Very bloody movie as well, very gory. It is brilliantly acted by all the women in this movie. It is well directed as well. There is a few dodgy scenes, like CGI scenes towards the end of the movie, but overall, such a brilliant atmospheric movie on this, with a very nice soundtrack too as well. So definitely has to be my top 10. I think this is the best movie that's come out in the 2000s. I don't think no movie has beaten this one, in my opinion. It ain't. But I'd love to see Neil Marshall go back to this and Dog Soldier type of movies and all. He hasn't had the great success lately as he has with these two movies, but I would love him to go back to these type of movies in future projects. So that is my top 10 horror movies of the noughties. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Come back next week and we will have my 2010s. We will, which is going to be another hard list to do as well. But leave a comment down below. Tell me what your favourite horrors of this decade, that of the two noughties decade, was. Loads of ones I haven't put in my list for you and all that, which I do love as well. But yeah, put down below what you like. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Bye.